Minutes,
Approve the minutes,
so moved.
Second.
then moved and seconded. Are there any additions or corrections? Seeing none. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carried. Action, approved draft resolution designated.
Agenda, public.
Number 3,
Okay. Input on agenda items by the public.
Yeah, I do. There again with the shouldering, it's on the agenda there. That culverts that go underneath either, that wall's probably 8-10 inches deep now. It's just falling in. Starting to crack across between the two culverts on the road. You know, that's been 8 months since I said something to you guys, nobody even went out and tried filling it in or nothing, and that's been 8 months, so. The other thing is I'd like to get the county road thing, with the drainage and the culverts, put on maybe the agenda for next month, get you guys to come out there and look at them. Because it won't be too long and Bob's gonna be balls to the walls on the capital projects, and there ain't gonna be much time for him to go out there and get that stuff done, so maybe you guys can vote on something to maybe, like you did last year, get Bob to come out there 3 times a year to maintain it. And, I'd like to know if this project's gonna be put on the capital budget for next year. I'm pretty sure that Bob is already working on next year's budget to produce you guys, because you got to do a draft to get it to county exec by, I don't know, June or something like that, so I just would like an update on what's going on with that. Some of you guys got pictures. I gave you updated pictures on the erosion around the residence culverts. Donna's gonna come out and look at them. I sent them to a couple of you guys, so if you can get them pictures, Bob, and have him look at them and see how bad it's really getting. And, that's about it. I just wanna keep the ball rolling. Maybe we can spray out there the weeds this year. Maybe that'll cut down on some of the labor costs with, boom mower always coming out there. That stuff will start popping up in May, so I'm giving you guys at least 2 months to try to figure something out, so. I'm appreciative of what you guys have been doing, you know, as far as keeping the ball rolling a little bit at a time. So, and we can just keep the ball rolling. Keep the troops happy. Thank you.
Number 5. That's
Number 4.
or number 4. Action, approved draft resolution designating the week of April 15th to 19th, 24 as work zone safety awareness. Schneider and Mesame Conferences Room in memory of Paul DeLack and the families.
It's 4, that's 2 different things, Dave.
you have a resolution.
Just so,
draft?
yeah, so I drafted a resolution and, after talking with the county executive, they were just gonna make a proclamation. To dedicate that week instead of a resolution.
Oh, so he wants
So-
credit for it. Isn't that right?
It's already done. Yeah, it's already written down.
So yeah, I mean, we did draft a resolution up for that. So obviously, April 15th through the 19th is that work zone awareness week. We Lori put a couple some posters together for that. I can pass those around. So as usual, you know, that week will be a busy week. You'll probably see a lot of they have some social media blitzes that are gonna go on, and you probably see a lot with the news and DOT with that too, so. Just want everybody to aware that, you know,
In
construction
addition to that,
season.
isn't there, or was it there, I think the legislators had ended their session, but wasn't there some legislation to enhance work zone safety?
Yeah, so they've
That was-
been doing a lot the last couple of years here with that, so. The DOT does a really good job with that, with social media and the news crews and.
Got our new truck too, huh?
So,
Nice and shiny.
yeah.
Either that or they watch the wax the old one.
I asked the crew on the way here this morning. On Oak Ridge.
So on this, there'll be nothing coming from the committee?
So, I mean, we have the resolution, so I mean. But they were just gonna do a proclamation with that, and
Not they, he.
well, county executive. So, I mean, I have the draft resolution, I mean, we can still approve it. It's up to you.
It won't be
Committee.
on the agenda now, but I think it
Right.
would have been nice to be on
Sure.
there from the committee. I mean,
Yeah.
it's the highway committee,
Sure,
but it won't be on the agenda now.
sure.
This action. So
Could you read it into the record?
we could read it into the record, or we could get it and put it on each one's desk.
Okay,
It won't be approved, but at least it'll be on the desk.
Yeah.
Saying coming from the
I
highway.
mean, we do have it down for an action on there, I mean,
Right.
like, you still want to approve
But it
it.
loses
and-
all its intent.
Right.
And we didn't get it.
So, yeah,
So
So
you want a motion to approve, the draft as submitted? What you want?
Did you read the draft?
Resolution. I assume it's a generic form type draft?
I mean, they're similar to every year, the only thing that really changed, I mean, is the data.
Yeah.
On there, you know, the crashes and,
How do you want to handle it, Tom?
however the committee wants to, I just think that it would have been nice to come from the committee, but like I said, it's gonna be the month after now before it get on there, so what meeting would it have?
So it ain't gonna make any difference if it's a month after.
Well, we can do
Maybe
it,
let him know too then.
so. we can-
It'll still come before the date.
yeah, this starts.
Or
April
no,
15th through the
it'll be
19th,
during-
So I don't know.
Yeah,
when.
we're the third Tuesday, well, actually, the fourth Tuesday. So it might be after, but we are gonna have organizational meeting.
Right, we could maybe get it in someplace, I think that if we could get it on there, maybe we can get it in someplace or another. And at least have it read, or if David wants to read this at the meeting, that would be great too. But either way.
I'll move to approve the draft
Second.
and hopefully we can work something out.
And move and seconded to approve the draft. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
David, would you wanna read this?
I or somebody will.
Okay, I mean, read it like even at this next meeting, saying that the committee wants to go on record for this? Good. Okay, that'd be good. I think that would be good, even coming
Sure,
from the chairman.
absolutely. Yeah.
of the committee.
Or you could read it.
Well, myself or David, he's chairman.
Yes, I'll see how you feel.
Right,
His eyes aren't working real good.
neither mine, I gotta get my glasses out.
I don't do that. I keep looking for them. I forgot to bring them.
Okay, it's gonna follow the vice chair, I can see it come.
Yeah, there you go, next in line.
One of us will get it for sure.
Right, but I think if at all possible, somebody should at least read it. I mean, should we at this time somehow make a note that we should start it off rather than doing county executive doing something before the should start here and then continue or not, or is that just let it go?
I guess that's up to the committee.
Or just. The county executive actually talks before any action goes in to the board or whatever, so, I'm sure he's gonna do it, but I still think that it's nice for the committee.
It's on the agenda for
Right.
tomorrow.
Right,
I mean, it should have started with us first, because that's what it would be with the highway. Okay.
so,
Which one we on?
Five.
Number 5, action, approve recommendation of naming the highway department lunchroom after retired employee John Schneider in the Messouri Conference Room in memory of Bull Delat to the Facilities Committee.
I will make that motion.
Second.
And moved and seconded. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Opposed, carried.
To go on record, the facilities has already gone ahead, approved with the highway committees approving of it, so, as of now, and
if something comes up and county executive changes it, this will be going on the next agenda
Okay.
for approval.
6, discuss highway department front office renovation. And remediation project.
So, so tomorrow night at county board, so the bids went out for the front offices. They were 205,000 short on that funding for that. There was discussions last week at PNF regarding that. I believe we got everything handled as far as, I know I talked to Morris before I was out, had bridge inspection training, so I was out, but I talked to Morris prior to that. And obviously this goes through facilities, so I did talk to Mike Elder too with this. So tomorrow night, county board, that will be on there for facilities for that additional 205,000. And then if that gets approved, then the project will start moving forward.
Right, I happened to get what's called a capital project status report.
Yeah.
And in that report, I gotta thank Paul for doing these reports, Maybe you can help me understand. Originally, it was a $300,000 request to the county board. And then the project. I'm reading from this, an additional 600,000 was added to the project from resolution 194.
Okay.
And apparently. And this was all first approved in May of 2022. So we got 23, you got about what, 18 months, year and a half? Kind of run me through the time for one, you wanted 300 grand and that was enough to do what?
So that was to initiate the process. So that, what they do is, Context was hired. And what they do is they come out and look at the building envelope, exterior of the building.
Engineering that. kind of-
Yep, and then they look at and they start out as the needs of what issues are. I mean, they'll look at the electrical, the plumbing, the HVAC. And then they'll start looking at putting costs together. So that initial front is just kind of design and start walking through that process. Then once they get past that, then you start in with the design, the reconfiguring the office layout.
That's where the 600 grand comes in.
Well, and nope, that was under that original money.
Okay,
That was what starts that. Then I believe that 600,000 was for the actual construction part of it. So,
then this always goes, it goes back to Supervisor. Bender's comments about the longer we delay, the higher costs go. And that reflects the 200,000 we're looking at now, because the costs come in higher than we anticipated.
it could be. I think what it comes down to it is, I mean, there's always gonna be that until you get that funding up front. And the design part, there is gonna be some layover with that. These companies are very busy. So we get put on that list when they take it. I mean, they're not working on it exclusive, that project. So, as far as when it started, the process moving through it, I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of delays. I mean, the funding was approved and not sure how, when Mike Elder goes through how to, to initiate those projects. I mean, that's that. But once they go through and the firm is hired, they came out here, they would make appointments, do walkthroughs. And I did a lot of work with them, as far as, the layout of offices and things like that. So there wasn't a whole lot of delay on that end. I mean. the
Was there
process to-
design changes after they had completed their work?
No, I think,
Additions?
I mean, a little here and there. I mean, there might be a tweak or two here, but for the most part, once we figured out. I mean, that obviously the HVAC system we know is the original, we know that was bad. The envelope, the way the building was designed, there was a flaw from construction, so that was the biggest problem with this, is behind these walls, there's no moisture barrier. So those are all the things that they come up with, and how do they remedy those situations?
Yeah.
So all that's laid out, and that's how they come up with their estimates. I mean, the bids came back, I mean, there's some that are way high, and then there's some way low. So I think you try to get in that middle ground. One thing that we looked at is obviously, office staff, we're not gonna be able to stay in here. I think one of the big concerns is where we were gonna go, so we looked at job trailers. So placing some job trailers out here, in talking with Mike, I don't know if that was immediately in the conversation, it was added on afterwards. So that plays a little role in the extra,
Cost of that.
yeah, but. I mean, as far as, you know, how the system works, I mean, I guess we follow how the county policy to get this going, and
My next question to you as a director of a department, could you offer a suggestion as, how maybe projects of this nature could be enhanced or expedited? Doing with your experience?
I mean. The building part of it, I mean, obviously that's the facilities part of it, but
Yeah.
I mean, you know. These all have to go through committees to get approval, and they all take time, and I mean, I'll tell you, it's a chess match to. To be able to get to highway committee, to PNF, to county board, you gotta watch that calendar to make sure, cause if you miss one meeting, you're out a month.
Well, I'm referring
And-
to after it's been approved.
So after it's been,
You know, so you got the money appropriated, it's sitting there, and now you start the process. But
Yep.
it seems the process takes 12, 16, 18, 24 months. I mean, there's some in here that are quite old, actually.
sure. I mean, it depends on, like, so funding, like on a road project, if there's federal or state funding. You have to put it out for competitive bidding, so you have to notify. Whether it's 7, 10, 12 engineering firms, you send that out to them, and then they'll send a formal request that they're interested in this. And I mean, the process is just, it's a clunky process. How it works, you know,
My
maybe
discussion
going.
and point of view is that these delays, and I'm sympathetic to your point of view. Is that it's costing the taxpayers of the county a lot of additional funds because of inflation, obviously.
I mean, the only thing I could think is if you have an engineering firm that is, already contracted. That for situations like this, that you can go right to them right away, besides going out and getting bids and.
Would that be legal, Tom? Could we hire?
I always wanted to know why the county couldn't, and maybe David can answer that better than I could, why we don't have our own engineer firm or one.
On
Call
retainer,
us.
retainer.
Right, and a lot of the highway departments they do have a consultant.
Huh?
Well, we used to have another person. It was. I can't answer it.
The town of Nina has one.
Right,
Well, if other counties are using that process,
Right.
then it obviously is legal within the law.
For your
So,
own county,
so the question becomes, maybe that's something we should look at.
The question becomes the cost.
Yes,
The same as this little machine is the cost of one gentleman walking in here, sniffed and then needed to have this machine.
yes, case in point, yeah, yeah.
I have another question, Bob, it probably don't go completely to you, but maybe for the whole committee to think about. It's up on the agenda to have a building size study, in other words, how much office space and all that each thing is going to be. Now, is this something that you've already decided? Has Mike Elder come in and helped decide this already? Or all of a sudden we've done the study and now it's gonna be, well, no, we don't need that much, or we need more, or whatever.
Yeah,
so I was giving specific office sizes. That,
By whom, if I may ask?
I believe through Mike Elder.
Thank you.
So department head, and I don't know if it's from the state of Wisconsin. It basically says department head. can have, I think it was like 240 square feet. The office staff can only have cubicles that are a certain size.
10 by 10 or 12 by 12?
Yeah, you know, so we're following that standard. So, the offices is gonna be smaller. Yeah, we're only allowing this footprint of what we're in here, and we're bringing in 3 supervisors that are officed out in the back general parking back there. So we're bringing 3 more people into these. So
But
this
you're not
conference
adding
room,
onto the building, no?
nope. Nope.
Oh, where's the,
So this conference room is gonna be office space.
oh,
So we will have a conference room on the other side, so those offices will be smaller. But we will have a small conference room over on that other end, on the east side of the building.
But I thought you were looking for bigger ones so you can have regional meetings in that here.
Right, so that was we talked about a training, because we can't get upstairs with that ADA, we
Yeah,
cannot use the
yeah,
freight
without the
elevator.
right now.
So that, we wanted that to be part of this project, is to put, so basically it would be an extension out through the parking lot here. It would be a conference room, training facility. If we added that onto this project that wasn't originally part of this, then we run into permitting issues with the city of Oshkosh. And it could have pushed this project back, 12 to 18 months. So we chose, we need to get this part of this done. So that was our decision to go through and at least get this part here, taken care of.
And I agree with you wholeheartedly. This
Yep.
should have been done a long time ago.
Yeah,
But my question is, I don't want this study now, if it gets passed, all of a sudden said, well, the highway should have had more, or they didn't need as much. Well, it sounds like you should have had more. Right now, just my thinking, if you're bringing people in and you're not gonna have the space that you're gonna want.
very, very good point, because they want a $300,000 additional study on top of the facilities here.
but
That's an excellent point.
They could have taken the $300,000 and
Yeah.
put your addition on.
Put your addition on, sure,
Right.
I mean,
one thing is though,
like the dog chasing its tail here a little bit.
right, but the mold issues we have are a real issue.
Yes.
Oh,
And these
that's,
poor girls that are working here, since I've been here, there's health issues that go on, and I don't know if it's associated to that, but
Very well.
I have farmers come in here for access permits and they ask me, can we go sit outside? The musty smell in here, I can't stand.
Mhm.
Farmers are used to that dust and that, and when they ask to go stand outside,
I don't
there's
think there's any
issues.
question, that's gonna
Yeah.
be remediated with the plan we have in place. I think the general concern Tom and I have, I assume we both have, is they want an appropriation of $300,000 to bring somebody else in to tell us what the size of the building should be and the configuration of the buildings and which one should be torn down. Mike Elder wants to move out here again, so he's gonna promote that.
Yeah, and I
And
understand,
I think you're doing an adequate job of doing this just as the director of the department. You
And
know
I-
what your needs are.
right, and I think the office reconfiguration and this mold mediation is what we need right now, we need that. One of the biggest disconnects is having 3 supervisors that are not up here. They are dissociated from our operations, so getting them up here is a must. Is when you start looking at, our tow plows that we have, those are some we didn't have in the past. So when you start looking at, when you have a triaxle or a quad axle towing a tow plow, those are 75, 76 feet long. We never had those before. It's kind of like at our old facility on Knapp Street, we only had tandems, then we got into the triaxles. Then we didn't have room to park those,
Yeah.
so we came out here. Now all of a sudden you're getting quad axles, you're getting tow plows. Now our needs for that, we're parking the tow plows, we're just parking them in aisles. So, it's safety issues, there's fire issues. So a lot has changed since that. We've got, know, the equipment's a lot bigger, seems to keep getting bigger. And out there, I mean, if you look at our locker room, our lockers, I mean, Steve, I don't know, they're maybe 8 inches wide and maybe 5 feet high. And you're supposed to put all your rain gear, your winter gear, your summer gear, your boots, your mud boots, all in that little, there's not enough room in there. And that's one thing, I mean, with COVID that came through there, I mean, when you start looking at size, we just don't have enough space here. You know, I mean, I think when you look back when this building was designed, you're exactly right. Those designs were done years prior to us moving out here. So I think by the time we moved out here, we were short space when we moved out here. And I think that's very
If I remember
safe.
right, when it was done, we couldn't get the one truck in the door.
Yeah, I mean, you know, so when you look at that, I mean, when there's those delays for that long, a lot changes in that time. You're exactly right. And I think that's the next step is that we get these offices done. That's gonna be the next thing out there is this back building.
Yeah.
There's no doubt that that's gonna come back in for our equipment, for storage. I mean,
I think what you're demonstrating to me as director of this department, you have an acute idea of what you need to operate the facility and your department.
right,
And i.e., in essence, I don't need an outside vendor coming in and telling us what you need.
well,
That's where we,
I think there's two sides to this. I mean,
that's really.
I can tell you, yeah, what we need and what functions for us.
Yes,
But one thing is, I mean, these companies that come in and do this, I mean, they look at turning radiuses of vehicles. Those are things that, I mean, I can go out there and say, hey, yeah, I'm not gonna make it in here, but they'll come out there and, I mean, they know the turning radius of that truck and trailer. That's where their
but
expertise
that's your
comes in. Engineering, yes.
Yeah, I'm referring to this outside.
Oh,
study
yeah,
group They wanna get in.
Yeah.
That's my relevance to the question.
but I mean, to say, you know, if say
I'm
we
not,
do
I don't
a,
want to put you on the spot.
oh, no, I'm saying I mean, we can renovate these offices and then say we put an addition or add on to the back building. Is that gonna be good enough in another 20 years from now? I'd say no. I would say by then there's gonna be different trends. Maybe, you know, maybe we're buying more tow plows. Maybe we're not maybe we're cutting staff. Maybe you don't need that huge. Maybe you.
Right, it's impossible.
Right. It just seems from the trend of my 30 years experience that the equipment keeps getting bigger and space becomes an issue. What it works for you today doesn't work for you, you know, I mean, it's like, you know, when you start a family, you got little kids, those rooms are fine for two kids in one room. Hey, when they 8, 10, 12 years old, now they need their own space and you grow like that. And I think, you know, right now we're bursting at the seams and we need to make some changes with the equipment we have. But like I said, in another 20 years from now, probably gonna be potentially be back at that and that same issue where.
In addition to that, I don't think the populace are as patient as they used to be 20 years ago.
Right.
People now at 4 a.m. want that road plowed, period. And if it ain't plowed so they can go to work, they really get upset.
Right.
20 years ago was a different fire, so.
What direction has the new facilities director given you to go?
As far as our front offices. We're gonna do the reconfiguration and get rid of this mold issues. So if tomorrow night, if the county board approves that 205,000. We're gonna move forward, he can award that contract and we're gonna start in on to get rid of this problem here. And I think, like I said, that's the big issue right now, is the mold problem. That's our number one problem.
But isn't that mold up there? I mean, that's been leaking here ever since I've been here.
Yep, and unfortunately, poor Lori has to sit in here every day. She can't
But I mean,
leave to
that's been
go out.
like that for years. Couldn't somebody patch we had that same thing at the airport and we spent 300,000 for engineering study. We spent hundreds of thousands to replace the roof. There was air conditioner was leaking on it.
And that's one of the problems
And
here
like
is.
Greg Ozy used to say, only in Winnebago County. Somebody's don't remember.
The major problem is the moisture barrier in the walls.
I mean, the
Yeah,
building envelope, which context pointed out is that when these walls go up, they stop. So there's nothing stopping that outside air from getting in. And yeah, right up here, the whole building those are the condensers right there. They're not wrapped, and that's where all a lot of the moisture is coming from. You peel this wall off. I mean, I've seen it. You peel that was the blackest mold that I've ever seen that was in this building. So those are the things that are gonna be addressed
I
with.
can't believe a contractor did that. No, I've built a few homes myself over the years.
But I think those.
It's an automatic, you put those vents in the attic to allow air to come in and filter out. I can't believe a construction firm did this.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate that, I mean, if you look at like all the building envelopes around the Walmarts, the Targets,
Yeah.
the Best Buys, if you look at, they're all getting painted. And that's the same, they're the split face stone.
Yes,
And if you don't seal that, that's why they're all sealing their buildings. We used to seal ours to help that and never continued it. And yeah, and those are the building envelope issues that we have. Those, I can't help it. That's what the building was built as, but this project's gonna address those situations too.
It's too bad Winnebago County always say that they're for their employees and all this and that, we give them for a raise, this and that. But yet we let them sit in here 2 years ago, well, almost 2 years ago, my first bus tour that we went on was here. We all looked at them walls and everything and it was so bad. And here we're still sitting and talking about it.
Yep.
And here it's mold infected. We don't know if it's infecting anybody. But Winnebago County wants to be so sure that they're taking good care of their people. But they're letting them sit in something like this. Nothing to do with you or the committee or whatever, but,
that should have been a top priority, that's
Right.
what you're saying. Yeah.
it should have been, right? But anyways,
I mean, the air scrubbers that we put in, the air purifiers, I mean, that it helps. But if we don't run those, then we have issues. I mean, coming up this summer, that's when it gets bad. That's when we really notice it. But there's no doubt this needs to get done. And I thank you for addressing that and saying that. I've been pushing for this. This is not, I mean, I feel bad as a department head that these ladies have to work here and they can't leave. They can't get out and go jump in a vehicle and go work out of their cars or like, the rest of us. I mean, if it gets too bad, it doesn't bother me as much, but when you have people that come in here and they make comments about it, it's real. It's a real issue and.
I don't see any issue with approval of funding, not that I'm aware of it. Then the more immediate issue becomes, let's get the project started.
right,
Yep,
Yeah,
agree with you 110%.
and that's an elders issue, right?
well, it still has to go up on the fourth floor for final approval. Elders brings it in, here's what it is, he goes up to John and the staff.
Got the bid, we're ready to
Goes
go.
it is, and they say yes or no.
And if you look at that slip truck, we approved the money in April of 22. So the money has been approved for 2 years. Nothing on the county board. We gave them the money to do this project. That's how long it took to get through the system, over 2 years. And they're gonna get this complete in November of 24 supposedly. That's probably gonna be January of 24. Or 25, you know what I mean? Because the same guy that.
Now, when you lose me, say this again, if we approve this 205,000. My assumption is that this is an overbid issue, it's already been bid. All we're waiting for is a contractor to bring the trucks out.
Yep, and he's building up 980 houses right now. That's the guy that's gonna do.
The same guy?
Oh, boy,
Maybe 2026.
maybe you could just put the divider down this.
They were the low bid? Oh,
I was gonna suggest we put a tractor in front of each one of them houses. Like it's a trailer.
Excuse me for
tractor
talking.
trailer.
oh, well, what do you know?
Anyways,
Life goes on.
So that was just an update on that, so you'll see that tomorrow night at county board. Number 7.
Discussion shoulder damage due to.
Damage to
Discussion
health.
shoulder damage to county roads.
So you don't like our farmers running up down. the
So-
road, huh?
Have no issues with them. What we do, it's Winnebago, I mean, we have farmers here.
I'm just kidding.
Yep, it's price of doing business.
Yeah.
You know, obviously, you know, we have these mega farms, obviously, the enormous amount of feed, manure that
Manure.
gets trucked out of
Yeah.
there. This is what happens. It's no fault of, I mean, it's where we live. We have farmers here.
Getting bigger, just like our trucks are.
Yep, instead of a small, you know, a small family farm that's, you know, their operations are so much, now 100 times more. I mean, they got thousands of head of cattle. I mean, it's that many more trucks that are running in and out. You know, it's one of those price of doing business.
They're all going to tracks now too instead of.
Yeah, I mean, where we see this more is like these narrower roads that don't have the paved shoulders. That's why when we do a lot of these overlays that we try to get a paved shoulder in
Mhm.
to eliminate these problems. You know, M down there, it's a narrow road and, you know, the big dairy down there, I mean, they haul a lot of material on there. It's just one of those, we don't see it every year. It's depends where they're working. They may pick up some acreage on a different road. And you'll see something on though, it just depends. This is just one of those that, yeah, when that edge of that road gets down, you know, I'm sure any of you hit those with your vehicle, you overcorrect, and now you got your safety issues with that. So these are some of those sections of road, those 3 specific roads, M, K, and H, that we had a couple shoulder drop offs. The majority it was on M, 90% of it. So, you know, so we went out there and, you know, so tomorrow night you're gonna see, asking for 266,000 to cover that shouldering, that emergency shouldering of those.
Are you referring to more gravel or?
Yeah, so what we had to do is,
Paving?
so we just went in there, we just put, so like on the curves, we were, you know, super elevation on those curves. We'll put a millings in there, asphalt millings, and they pack in more.
Mhm.
Then the straight sections, we'll put the 3/4 crusher run, dense base, in there. So that's basically all we did, was just shoulder these areas that were down. And, you know, it came in at $266,400.
Which is, I assume, several miles.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, if you look at like, we went from 44 on M, 44 to 91. It's a long stretch in there. So yeah, majority of that damage was done on that road. And like I said, our roads are for, the farmers use it just as much as I use it. Hauling milk, you know, anybody that uses those, your groceries, everybody's using the roads. It's just one of those that,
Does this indicate you're gonna have to increase your budget then for 25 to compensate for this more on a?
I mean,
annual
these-
basis?
I don't think necessarily, I mean, this doesn't happen all the time. This is just, this year was a bad one. But one thing is that section of M, in there for future, we're probably gonna look at, as much as it gets used, we're probably gonna look at overbuilding that. We're probably gonna look at, I mean, if we pulverize that, maybe we do a reconstruct in there and, we put more asphalt. Maybe we put 4.5, 5 inches of asphalt down for that heavy truck traffic. South M, when Ernie Winters was here, we reconstructed that section down there. It's getting beat up down there. So that might be one of those roads that, I mean, it goes right to Rosedale Dairy. That might be one of them that we may be looking at overlaying that sooner than we should because of that traffic. If you ever get a chance to go down there, look at the entrance of their it is so chewed up going in there, but Fond du Lac County, they over constructed that end of theirs because they knew that was there. So these are some of the things that we're gonna look at in the future is that, that M between 44 and 91, maybe we try to widen that out and get some paved shoulders on there, so they have a little more surface to drive on instead of that shoulder. Or when we overlay it or whatever we do with it, we may put more asphalt down to help out with that heavy truck traffic. So those are some of the things that, we'll look in the future that'll come up. But this doesn't happen every year. It's just one of those that depending on where they're trucking, what acreage they're running and, you see it on town roads too. If they're coming off, so it's not just ours, but
We had to do it in the town of Inland, you guys familiar with Green Valley Road, where that intersects with 76 right there by Quick Trip? That intersection, we had to, put in some special asphalt, I think, a little more concrete, a little bit on the sides.
right.
Had the same issue, trucks, semis turning all the time.
Up by Crossroad, I remember when I was on the paving crew, we used a special binder material. On
Maybe that's what it
Crossroad,
was, yeah.
a little more money, but it's held up. As much big a traffic that comes in on there. I mean, I think it was money well spent, but those are the things that probably the future that we'll look at. Like I said, this typically we don't see it like this. I mean, this was just a bad year. May I have, for what reason, just because it was so dry, I don't know, but. So I don't foresee this every year, but not to say that next year we could see this, but it's not every year we deal with this, so. So tomorrow night, you'll see that come through. Number 8, David.
Number 8, general operation. States County bid control.
Obviously this year we didn't use a whole lot of salt with the winter, but we did get our county salt in, so we got an additional 1,500 tons of our county salt in, so we have all our salt, our seasonal salt came in. The DOT, we had 1,000 ton come into Oshkosh and 1,100 at Winchester, so they took in 2,100 tons of seasonal salt, so we have all our seasonal salt.
Who do we buy that salt from?
It's under state contract out of Green Bay. I believe Compass is the vendor. So I think there's like Compass and like Morton are the two big ones. But that's all under the state contract. So I don't foresee us, we just don't have the room to take any vendor reserve. I think last week we had the city of Oshkosh calling, ask if we had room to store 1,000 ton. We don't.
So we're full.
Yeah, pretty much we're full. Yep. So we took everything that we had for this year purchased. So that's a good thing, because usually right about now, we would be getting our vendor reserve. And that is like saying, hey, make sure we have this on reserve if we need it. We can't take it because we don't have the room. So, which is a good thing. Salt prices, I believe from last I heard that this year, the state may be putting that back out to bid for salt. Or if there's still salt reserves here, that they may just honor those again for this year and then next year rebid them. So they're kind of working through that right now. So it's good. I mean, we got all our salt in. We don't have to worry about that, any reserve or anything like that. So. And then equipment, obviously with the warm weather we had, we've been starting to take off the wings off of our trucks. So there's no reason to have those wings on the roads, tearing up shoulders and things like that. So we started removing some of those. The state, we did have some foreman's trucks and a 1 ton that availability wasn't there. The state did award their truck bids. And I think, was it 2 weeks ago, Lori, that those came? I think it was about 2 weeks ago, the state bids came out. So we did get those 2 foreman trucks and that state patrol truck. We've been waiting for those trucks for a couple years. So apparently they're, we're gonna get those. So probably not gonna get them until maybe late summer, probably early fall. But we will get those. So we've been waiting for years for this. So it's a good thing. So I think maybe we're kind of over that hump with these vehicles. So,
Will they be 4s, 2004 or 24s or?
what is that? What is it? Yeah, 24s, yeah. So that's a good thing. We waited a long time, so at least we'll get those trucks in, so. And then, you're gonna see April 1st, you're gonna be seeing some construction work out on 41. So I think already, I went north this weekend, from Breezewood. You're seeing the signings already getting put up. So you'll see, lane closures, long-term lane closures, starting at Breezewood up through, Double B. There's concrete panel replacements. There's a lot of concrete work. There's sewer work. There's some sound barrier walls they're working on. So that'll start April 1st and then it's to be completed by November 1. So there's a lot of work gonna go on up in that 6 lane up there.
Are we doing the work?
No, that's all a contracted bid. Vinton Contracting is the prime. So that was a state-led bid up there. So,
You're looking at Winnebago County going into Allegheny.
correct. Yep. There's some diamond grinding in there. There's that double I on that curve. There was a friction surface in there. They're gonna redeck some of those structures in there, put new bridge joints in, and then they'll put a new friction surface on there. So that area on that curve there is always bad. Ice is up and that friction surface you'll see like on the flyover by 41.
Yeah,
Those help out.
they look
that-
nice.
Yeah, they do and they hold.
Aren't they also starting construction of enhancing 41 all the way to Green Bay?
So that'll be a total different project.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they got
But
like,
it's gonna be at the same time?
well, I believe they were gonna start working on some overheads. Some bridge deck first was the first phase of that project up there. I haven't heard specifically when they're starting with that, but this project, they should be done November 1st. And then the end of May, you're gonna see out here on 41 on the causeway, on the Butamore Bridge. If you go over there now, you'll notice approaches.
Yeah.
You'll see the skid marks on there, they're bad. Those will be knocked out and repoured. So that,
The middle lane going south is really bad.
yeah, so we've been, they tried mud jacking those, they've tried a lot over the couple years and we've been waiting for this for a long time.
We're gonna tear it out, put new in.
Yeah, so they'll pour all new approaches in there, so, we're very excited to get that done out there, both northbound and southbound. And then, if you know in there, they had that weigh in motion, the state patrol, they could weigh those vehicles. There's
I'm not
steel
familiar
panels in
with
the
that.
roadway, so if you get on the north end in there by Eklund,
Yeah,
there's some big steel plates in the roadway. So when a vehicle runs over those, that counts the axles and weighs that vehicle and takes the
Really?
pictures, yeah. So they've had some issues with those. And apparently they're gonna put them all back, replace them and put all in new. So that'll be coming up at the end of May.
they're doing that for truck, semi-traffic primarily?
Yeah, yep. So it's a pretty neat system. When it first went in, we were hauling asphalt, from Larson to the south here. Yeah, and every one of our trucks went over. They were sending us a picture of the vehicle,
Over 80,000.
license plate, and
Yeah.
yeah, so then we had to work on. When you pull under the silo where your tag axles, where that load is positioned. So we had to kind of work with them to position those loads, so we weren't overweight. So it's a neat system. I mean, they get some really good pictures and,
Does it,
Big weather.
does it pay off? I mean, is there a cost savings?
well, so what happens is, so if you're a semi driver. And you're running 90,000 pounds every time you go over there, it's taking your picture of your door and your license plate. You're gonna get some mailings, if you ignore those, they put out with the state patrol, your or your truck license plate, they put it out there, so if they see
So it's
you,
mostly to get people to comply rather than.
yeah.
Yeah,
Write tickets
Yep.
and paying for it.
So people got smart, they would get off at 21, go through Algoma Boulevard. Well, then they would sit on Algoma Boulevard, any semi came by,
sure.
was overweight, so they got smart with that and, but, so that system will get replaced with that, so, that'll be, good to have those, jobs done out there, so. That's all I had for that.
Next meeting day.
So that's one of those. I don't know if we just want to hold off till I mean, our committees on committees and.
I
to
would
decide.
say, being David's last, meeting here and he's decided not to run again, that, it have to be who the new chairman is and the new chairman and you should go ahead
Okay.
and meet and come up with an agenda and
Okay,
where, I mean, you can make it about the same time, but, 'cause I think it's working out for everybody.
Could we
If we all
just-
stay on there,
Pencil it a day at the end.
great, we could pencil one in for about the same time now and.
so it didn't kind of look, Lori,
The 15th of April will be the
15th.
third Monday, like we
Yeah.
usually been doing, but I don't know if that's enough.
Tuesday
time
the
for
2nd. Tuesday, the 2nd is of the election,
Right,
so that would be 2 weeks, the 15th, that Monday.
Yeah, that's the day.
Would that be enough for?
County board meeting.
yeah, I don't know if you
I
have
don't
your, I don't think you'll have your,
Yeah,
because
you're
there'll
not-
have to be a committee on committee,
Yeah.
and then you'll have to have that committee will have to go ahead and elect one, but I would go ahead and put it in there and whenever you
If we
think,
have to-
maybe a week later or whatever, but,
Okay,
at least
Especially if
it's
you need something,
right,
yeah,
right,
you know,
Right,
if you
that's
need a
what you have.
resolution
Right,
for
right.
the.
that's what you have a vice chairman
Yep.
for, if David's not around,
Yep.
so. yeah.
April 15th,
Done.
tentatively, okay.
all right.
I'll move to adjourn. Mr.
Well, we
Chairman.
adjourn, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, we'll adjourn.
No, before you adjourn, I think we all want to thank you for all your, things that you've done, not only for the county, but especially this committee. I don't know how many years you've been on this committee, but I know you've been here for quite a while. So, we really appreciate it, and your knowledge, and
Good, thank
we
you.
don't want you to be like a Sid, but we definitely want you to come back and,
Yeah.
and visit us and,
So in other words, I shouldn't come and sit here and then see her in the background, say, oh God, there he is again.
I
No,
know,
we'll never look at it that way.
we appreciated all your knowledge, so,
Thank you much.
Thank you.
How many years, Dave? 40?
Going on that 38, I guess.
Yeah. Long time.
Thank you.
yes.
One
But I
hell.
enjoyed every year, but I mean, I enjoyed it. It was something different than being a grease monkey, you know what I mean? Like, that's what I always would tell people. My wife would be out the garage at 5:30 getting me, poking me to get out from a creeper from under a truck. Home cleaned up and had the bathtub filled with water, getting me out back down there for the meeting within a half hour, you know?
Yeah.
So, well, hopefully you don't forget about us and bring your knowledge and
No, I
more
won't.
than that too, so. You got a motion in a second?
For the last time, David?
Yeah.
All right, thank you, sir. You're adjourned.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lori.
You can, Larry.